Now, the pressure on the public from multiple price hikes driven by global fuel prices and the devaluation of the rupee has been staggering in the past week or more. And now, with the latest fuel price hike announced by the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, transportation costs are set to spike to never seen before levels. With that, the ripple effect will naturally see prices of commodities and anything else that requires transportation rise accordingly. With bus operators having now received the go-ahead for a significant hike in fares, the screws have been tightened even further on the people. So what's the solution, or is there a solution at all? We have with us tonight the country's Minister of Transport Dilum Amunugama to talk us through the current crisis and how the government intends to respond. Good evening and a warm welcome.
Good evening.
Doesn't it seem like the people are going to, at the end of the day, suffer? Will this continue to put too much pressure, or do you have plans to mitigate it so that the burden on the people will be relieved?
There were several discussions which we held today within the day, and I have also discussed with the Minister of Finance as well. So we still have not decided on the price hike or what the rates are, but I'm sure by tomorrow evening we will have to take a decision about it. But I can assure the public one thing, that we will be going at the lowest possible rates. Today I managed to get all the bus operators to agreement that we would only go by the lowest price hike, which would obviously to affect the people, but we try to minimize the effect because there is no other option. So I think by tomorrow midnight there will be a price hike in the bus fare, but it will be to a very minimum level.
Do you know how this minimum level will be? Do you have an indication?
It should be, I think we should be able to keep it to about maybe about 2 or 3 rupees, maybe 3 rupees to the minimum transport wage. That is, the minimum transport wage right now is 17 rupees. So there is a possibility of this going to maximum. It might go to about 20 rupees. So we're trying to keep it within that.
Right. But this also takes us to the question of the CTB and our railways. When you try to cut down on the fares and try to minimize the pressure on the people, we also look at these two entities. They've been loss-making for years and decades now. What will be the end result here? What sort of effect will it have on the institutions? Can we even think of reviving these institutions?
First of all, I must tell you that the CTB is not running at a loss anymore. CTB is a profit-making institute right now. They pay their own salaries, and it has also been, we managed to keep it a profit-making institution during the COVID season also, because we were into some government transport missions at that time. Railway, of course, is it runs at about 8 billion loss per year, and the very reason is that the train rates or the fare has not been raised for a long time. So those are, it's actually the train fare is about 60% of what the bus fare is. It's even lower. So we are trying to put this on track as well. And of course, if there is a hike in the prices, it will be even the CTB. Also, there is the same price increase, because we cannot run the CTB also at a loss. So when there is a bus fare that will be amended, if we amend it tomorrow, it will be for both, for the private buses and for CTB as well, because there is no way that CTB also can pump fuel at a higher rate and transport at a low rate.
Private bus owners have also been asking for a subsidy. Is that something you're looking at?
It is, we discussed with them also. I've spoken to the finance ministry as well, but it is not a practical solution, because then again we will have to find the funds for that subsidiary, and then someone will have to provide them the phone, as I saw Mr. Gunarwan stating. If CTB tries to take the burden, then the CTB will go down, and then again it has a spiral effect on the public, because it will be a public-owned entity which goes down. So it is not trade like fisheries. You could subsidize, because you can. It's not an area as big as the public transport. But when it comes to bus transport, a subsidiary is not practically implementable. So this is the problem with the subsidiary.
Now the Container Transport Association has requested, or they want to raise charges by 60%, which will lead to a massive hike in cost of consumer products and other goods. There is also a big effect on the economic activity as fuel prices hike, and there is constraints in transportation. What are we looking at here? What are you looking at here as a government and the Ministry of Transport?
As the Ministry of Transport, I think it is high time that we also start taking control over other means of transport also other than public transport only, because the rates for container transport or water transport, even school transport services, these are not managed by the NTT or by the NTC, or the rates are not decided by the government. It is left to them or these associations to decide. So I would not agree with a 60% increase, because the most area affected on this fuel price hike is the public transport or the bus transport. So if we will be only going for a price hike of about maximum 14% to 15%, then I don't see why the container transporters have to go for a price hike at a rate of 60%. So that is not the correct thing to do at this moment.
We'd like to go back to the question of the CTB and the railways. Isn't it time to look at ways to revive the CTB? What plans ahead to peopleize or privatize or bring in ventures that will support or new projects? What do you have in the cards?
First of all, the CTB, we have managed to get it within the scope that we need. So we are not running with excess staff. We have the correct number of staff. Previously, the CTB had to maintain, I think, about 15 staff members per bus. But now we have managed to bring that down to about 3.5 to 4, which is the required amount. Railways has a lot of restructuring has to be done, so we are working on it. And as you very correctly said, we are looking at utilizing the assets they have, probably in public-private partnership version. And also we need to look at generating income through other means, not only transport, but CTB and railways also has to start generating income by other means, not only transport. So CTB, we have got the necessary authorization to start up about 50 or 60 fuel stations.
Very quickly, along with that, any measures to provide relief to people, the public as commuters, and through railways or maybe the CTB?
This is what the Treasury told us, because when I discussed with them, their point of view was that we cannot subsidize the fuel supplied for the buses, but we might look at option where the worst affected or the daily traveler or the most affected person could be given some sort of subsidy, maybe a season ticket, maybe some sort of credit facility, maybe a lower rate for school children and daily people who travel for work. So the Treasury is looking at that aspect also.